5 minutes after 10 o'clock. I wish I could get this CD player in the studio to work because I could have opened up this segment with a song from the musicians we were about to speak to. You've heard us talking about the band called The Usual Suspects, and we get to meet two of them right now. Don Gold is in the studio. He is a drummer, and Mike Holt is here. He is a saxophonist, and they're here to talk about their music, basically. And there's a CD here in the computer, but I just don't know how to play it. So let's say good morning. Make sure your microphones are turned on. Mike and Don, good morning, guys. How
Good
you
morning.
doing?
Good morning.
Good to see you. Wait, you play at the Hilton?
Yes, sir. Yes, we do.
All right. How long have you been there?
We've been there almost 2 years.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Now, are you done there? Because it was a little bothersome. I heard the final performance, or was that just a tease?
Yes, this Saturday night, the 31st, is our final performance. The Hilton has decided to disband music on Saturday nights for whatever reason.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
We need to write letters.
My mom loved going there on Saturday nights
Hey,
to hear you with her
been a
friends.
good run.
Yeah, Robin's mom is a
Yeah.
fan of yours.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is jazz? I never know how to define musical styles. I don't even know how to define rock. I mean, except to say guitars, you know.
Well, jazz grew out of the blues back in the early part of this century, and it's just a free form. It takes from all the different styles, basically.
It's purely American, right?
Mostly, I would say.
Mostly. Okay.
I think of it as just your way to express what you're feeling, at that time in the music.
So it's not charted out like a classical musician would write. His performance would be the same next gig as it is today. Yours may not be the same next time around. Is that right? Do you improvise?
It can be. Some, like big band music, is all written out, but when you have a solo improvisation,
Okay.
That's the free form style.
So you do you both do that as a drummer and as a saxophonist? Do you
Yes.
improvise?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, mostly. I mean, we both read, and when you reach a certain amount of pieces in a band, it's important to have the music so that everybody is on the same page.
Yeah,
and it lessens the fact of confusion. When you get small groups, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, you can more or less, do it by ear, and it's all a lot of self-expression, jazz. And as Mike pointed out, it did grow out of blues, which is an American, format of our own music.
Yeah.
And jazz was really very, very popular back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and the early part of the 60s. And then the music scene, started to change. Rock and roll started to come in and become stronger. And I guess, wouldn't you say, Mike, in the 70s, then country western started to play an important
No,
part?
disco.
Oh,
The
disco.
70s
That's
was
right,
disco.
So this was disco. Yeah.
I forgot about disco.
But it's always been there in one form or another, I think.
Do you ever have musicians who are not jazz musicians, but they want to make their music sound jazzier, and they invite you into their studio sessions? Do you ever have that?
No, I've never had that opportunity.
Not personally.
No. I would think that would be a cool thing to do, is for somebody who doesn't really naturally have the jazz vibe within themselves, to invite somebody like you guys.
Well, back in the 40s, one band in particular, Duke Ellington, he had quite a few members of his band were a crossover from classical music. Some of them that had studied in the Philadelphia Conservatory of Music crossed over into jazz and gave up that classical end of what they studied to become jazz musicians. And there were a number of other bands in that era that had some of those kinds of musicians with them.
Really? Well, when we talk about improvising with music, this is just a hunch, because I only play with Robin. We don't have anything more than the two of us, and basically ours is, I guess, folkish. But we have sort of a sixth sense about what direction she's going to go, what direction I'm going to go. She's better at that than me. Does that develop between you, the four of you? Who are we missing, by the way? Who are the other two guys?
Well, we have a fellow by the name of Dean Millward, who plays an upright bass.
Oh, cool.
Which today you don't find many bass players playing.
I love that instrument.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have a fellow by the name of Bob Dunbar, who's on keyboard. Very, very fine
Okay.
musician. And he's worked, all over the country. And again, he fits right into what we're doing as Dean and Mike and myself do in what we call jazz.
Have the four of you been together a long time? And getting back to my question about the sixth sense part of it.
Well, basically, we've been together, Mike, I, and Dean, for I'd say 3-4 years now.
Oh, wow. So not really that long.
No.
Where were you before that? What were you doing?
I played with other groups, and I've had my own trio for a while, and this is very common, in the music industry where you sort of bounce around a little
Sure.
and move into different venues at different times.
Yeah. We're going to hear a little bit of the music live in the studio, and I can't play the CD. I apologize for that. We also have an update coming up from the LPGA Championship. Tom Schmitz is going to call in from Golden Ocala. Where this big news for Ocala, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you guys hire yourselves out for parties and things like that?
We're certainly available.
Yeah. We do a lot of other private things in between when we do have a steady gig. We try to keep ourselves as busy as possible, and we do accept other venues of music to play.
Who came up with the name, the Usual Suspects?
Actually, Mike did. I was involved with a trio prior to hooking up with Mike, and the keyboard player knew Mike, and we started to get some jobs where he felt we could, add another musician, and we chose Mike. And then I got a few gigs on my own, and I called Mike and I said, "Listen, Mike, I've got such and such a job on such and such a date. Are you available?" And he said to me, "Well, who's on the job?" And the first thing that came to my mind, I said, "The Usual Suspects."
Oh, wow.
Oh,
There it
He
was.
said, as we reformed from a trio into a quartet, he said that would be a great name for the group, and that's how it came about. I think so. Isn't that
Yep.
right, Mike?
Phone call.
The saxophonist is usually the signature piece, I feel, in a jazz group, because you really set the mood for the music.
and she's prejudiced because she plays saxophone.
I heard that.
And you also play with Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band.
That's correct. And I'm also part of the Southern Express, which is a local big band, the traditional 18-piece
Oh, really?
Glenn Miller type of stuff.
Oh, wow. So this is both. Is this full time for both of you, or?
No, I'm retired, and for me, it's just a great joy that that I could do this at this stage of my life, doing something that I love.
That's awesome. That's my hope. My hope is that when I reach retirement, it's music all the way, because I just love doing it.
It's very inspirational, though, to listen to people that play jazz, because you don't have to necessarily follow music note for note, and you can put your own personality in there, and that's really great for the young up-and-coming musician.
And that's something we're trying to do to keep the younger people involved. We've invited some of the people that play in the Kingdom of the Sun to come in and set in with the group at the Hilton, because it gives them an opportunity to play in this type of situation where they may not be able to do that. So we're definitely trying to encourage the younger people to continue on.
We're just about up to our break. So while we're on the break, Tom Schmitz is going to be talking to us about the golf tournament, golf championship. I think that's the right word.
Yes.
We'll find out. I pretend to know sports. I pretend to know politics. I don't know any of that stuff. So when we come back, are we going to hear something that you guys have written, something that we...
We don't have any original pieces.
No, we don't.
Nothing? Okay, okay. All right. Well, I had a question for you, and I just lost my...
Well, getting back to what you were saying about inspirational, I think, all music is inspirational, but for us, the jazz format is one that gives us that opportunity to express ourselves.
I would love to hear some fun moments that happened when you were playing some gigs. There's always some wild gig stories.
I don't know if they're right for air, but
Oh, really? Oh, really? All right, well, we'll take a little break. We've got the weather, and then when we come back, we will hear from the usual suspects.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be sunny today, but chilly with a high of 59 to 63. Clear and cold tonight with lows in the mid to upper 30s inland, 48 on the coast. Tomorrow, beautiful day with sunshine and a milder afternoon, high 65 to 69. And on Friday, partly sunny to high 66 to 70. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
All right, 15 minutes after 10 o'clock. Don Gold and Mike Holt are going to play for us in just a little bit. Right now, Tom Schmitz is on the phone. He is at the LPGA, the Coates Golf Championship. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Larry. And you got that right. It's the Coast Golf Championship at Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club, presented by R&L Carriers. This update brought to you by Properties Salon and KMS Downtown Fitness. Let's go right out to the Regions Bank scoreboard and check out that Ha Ha Jang is leading the tournament through 10 holes at 3 under. Jenny Shin is 2 under through 7 holes. Juliet Granada 2 under through 6 holes, and then Brooke Pancake, who, signed a deal with Waffle House, she's 1 under through 9 holes. The tournament really kicks off later today with number 1 in the world, Idby Park, Michelle Lee and Paula Creamer tee off at 12:45, but just before that at 12:35, number 2 in the world, Stacey Lewis, Lydia Ko, and Kari Webb go off at 12:35, and then Cheyenne Woods, Denise of Tiger Woods, she's off at 12:55. Plenty of tickets available for the Coates Golf Championship, $15 for single-day tickets, $40 for a week pass that gets you into all 4 rounds. We'd like to thank KMS Fitness Downtown and also Properties Salon and Regions Bank for their sponsorship of these updates live from the Coates Golf Championship. I'm Tom Smith reporting for WOCA Radio. Back to you, Larry.
That was too professional. But are you having fun? I want to know how you're having fun.
I'm going to get breakfast, Larry.
You're going to get breakfast.
I'm going to get breakfast.
It's too late for breakfast. It's too late. All right. So, all right. We'll talk to you later, and tune into the Voice of Ocala, and Tom and Buddy will be giving more updates later on. Am I right about that? You'll be here, right?
I'll be back in an hour to give you another update.
All right. All right. Thank you, Tom. All right. We will take a little break and be right back with the usual suspects.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be sunny today, but chilly with a high of 59 to 63. Clear and cold tonight with lows in the mid to upper 30s inland, 48 on the coast. Tomorrow, beautiful day with sunshine and a milder afternoon, high 65 to 69. And on Friday, partly sunny to high 66 to 70. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Are you wasting hundreds or thousands of dollars on termite retreat fees? If you're not with Turner Pest Control, you probably are. Turner Pest Control offers the industry's only termite and pest control package that never charges retreat fees, ever. You can get started today for only $99. This is a value of $500 or more. This includes treatments, installation of monitoring stations, quarterly pest control, and a lifetime guarantee, all for an unbelievable low $99. Even if you have another pest control provider, visit turnerpest.com to find out how you can avoid paying those high termite retreat fees.
Your home is safe, or is it? AA Lock, Dock, and Security. The name has been a staple in Ocala since 1985. Do you have the right equipment in place to have peace of mind when you are at home or away? AA Lock, Dock, and Security has the right people to install and monitor your home or business. Call today for a free on-site security analysis. Call 867-1965. AA Lock, Dock, and Security, 219 Northwest 10th Street, 867-1965.
All right, now we're going to hear some music. Don Gold is here on drums. Actually, he's got one drum today. I guess that's the portable, the way a drummer is portable is bringing a snare drum. Mike Holt is here, a saxophonist, both of them with the usual suspects, jazz band. The two in the quartet that are not here are Charlie Remillard. Am I saying his name right? No?
Bob Dunbar.
Bob Dunbar.
Oh, Bob Dunbar. Oh, okay, so these names, I don't use these names on here? I have no idea. Okay. All right, here we go. Now we're going to hear something. What is this called?
This is an elegant piece called Mood Indigo.
Okay. And as we start out, I'll finish the mix so that it sounds pretty cool. Okay, hopefully. That was great. That was great. I didn't hear what that was called again. Tell me again.
Mood Indigo.
Oh, Mood Indigo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, it's a lot of noise on that thing. That's a loud microphone right there.
Move up.
There you go. Tell me a little bit about your history with music. When did it start for you, Mike?
For me, it started at about age 5 on the piano.
Oh, gee, okay.
And then when I got into middle school, there was no piano in the band, so...
Oh, so you started with piano. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear with
Right.
that.
And then my band director said, well, what do you want to play? Well, I don't know. So he held up a picture of all the instruments in the band, and I pointed at the saxophone because it looked the coolest. So that's how I started on sax.
Isn't it interesting, though, that you knew you liked music at such a young age? I mean, how do you explain that? Were your parents musical, or?
My dad was a vocalist, but he was primarily the school teacher.
Uh-huh.
But I can remember at about age 4, riding in the car, going out to eat, and just listening to the music. I can't remember what it was. I said, I want to do that. And he says, well, what do you want to play? I want to play the drums. They're cool.
Oh, really?
So he said to me, that's fine, but if you learn to play the piano and you can play at least decent, you can always work. I really think he didn't want to have the drums in the house, but little did he know how much I was going to bang on that piano day in and day out. So it was a lot of fun.
You still play piano then?
I'm not a piano player, but I know the chords and stuff like that.
And so did you feel like the saxophone was? Can you? And this is just a general question about reed instrumentalists. Can you play any reed instrument?
No, I don't play the other instruments.
No,
I mean, all the saxophones I play.
So just because it has a reed doesn't mean it's similar to another reed instrument, right?
They are similar, but you can't just pick it up and blow it unless that's just inside you.
It's just what you've done.
You know, some people can do that, but.
Now, is that what kind of a saxophone is that? What is it called?
This is an alto.
So could you play the other saxophones?
Yes.
Okay, so all the saxophones would be something you could handle.
Correct.
Do you have the others? Do you have the
I've got a soprano.
So that's a higher note?
That's
a higher note. Okay, and there's a bass saxophone?
There's a tenor would be or bigger than the alto.
Okay.
Then there's a baritone.
Oh,
Then
okay.
there's a bass.
Oh, really?
And then there's a contrabass.
Is it gigantic?
It's very large. You have to stand up to play it.
Really?
You don't see them much around anymore because there's no music for that instrument.
Yeah. But like with an upright bass, it's used to support the other things that are going on. I'm guessing a bass saxophone doesn't serve that same role. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
But nobody writes for it.
Yeah, it's too hard to hear. Probably dogs can't even hear it, right?
It's very low.
What is wonderful about the musicianship that your whole band does, the Usual Suspects, is that you keep familiar all of the jazz pieces that have been created years and years and years ago.
Correct.
But there are people out there that keep writing new pieces, so you must intersperse them.
We try to keep up with what's going on, but we stick pretty much to the old standards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that the audience must dictate what you play in many ways, right?
Well, at the Hilton, it's a restaurant, so we're trying to provide, dinner music. We're not the show.
Right.
We're the background.
Right.
So that lends itself to that type of format.
Don, how did you become involved in music?
Well, my dad was a drummer, and so the drums were always in the house growing up. According to my mother, she said I started on pots and pans when I was about 2 years old.
Isn't that funny?
I took my father's sticks and brushes I would take her pots and turn them upside down and play on the tops of them.
Isn't that amazing? So you watched your dad play drums?
Yes, as a matter of fact, my mother took me on all my dad's gigs. In those days, back in the 30s and early 40s, they weren't called bars and grills. They were called gin mills. And I grew up in New York City, and my mother took me on most of his gigs.
You don't look old enough to be remembering the 30s.
Thank you. I get that compliment all the time.
I'm not
all
just
the
saying
time.
that. I mean, I
Thanks.
was surprised that you go back to the 30s. Wow.
Yeah.
Music keeps you young.
That's right.
Wow.
And by age 6, my mother told me I was already playing on my dad's drums and keeping time.
You don't remember?
Sure, I remember.
Okay, well, you said your mother told you. But
Well, she told me that at age 6, that I was, already sitting on my father's stool. But I couldn't reach the drum pedals, but I was keeping time to the music on the snare and the cymbals.
Yeah.
And when I reached 14, I first joined my first band and started earning money at age 14.
Do each of the people in the band, do they each have a solo piece throughout the evening, throughout the performance?
Pretty much. And you can give a solo at any given time. We just look at each other and
You just know.
Right, yeah.
It's
That's the mind reading thing, or the sixth sense thing. We're horrible at keeping time. We have to have a metronome. Is that true for you? I know you can keep time, but we're horrible. We're speeding up all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that you find in a band, that sometimes there is a musician that speeds up, and what happens is the rest of the band tries to catch up to him.
And always. That's what
And
happens.
then the
yeah.
song gets rushed.
So you are basically the drummer role in general is the conductor in a quartet. The person we focus on.
The drummer is really the person that is the time setter, but also the drummer is usually the guilty suspect of who rushes the piece first. He's usually the one that's.
Oh really?
Yes, it's
Oh,
usually
no.
the drummer that rushes.
You like that word suspect, don't you? That comes from the 30s.
Yeah. Well, I guess there was a movie called The Usual Suspects.
Oh really?
Yes, sure.
So you've only been a musician your whole life?
Well, I did it professionally for 10 years. I traveled around the United States with different bands, and I worked in all the jazz clubs in New York. And then I spent a few years traveling around the world with the USO band,
Oh wow!
entertaining the troops.
What was
He's
that
done
like?
it all.
That was
That was an awesome experience, and went into many areas where civilians weren't allowed, and we played in a lot of dangerous places.
Wow.
And it was quite an experience, and something I would never trade for. And thank God that I had that experience, as part of my musical career.
wow.
Music is totally universal, though. I mean, people do need to have some form of music to keep going, and the jazz music is one of my favorites.
Mine too.
Robin's brother is a drummer, and he's a music teacher and stuff. Do you know, I also am from New York and played in a duo in Long Island and in Queens and in Brooklyn. I never played in Manhattan. And it was like the gold ring I never got. And then one day, like 4 years ago, I had an invitation. So I played this little tiny bar on the Lower East Side, and it was horrible. But now I can say I played Manhattan one time.
There you go. It's like Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, Manhattan.
Yeah, for me it was, yeah.
Manhattan had the best jazz clubs. There was, the Blue Note, the Half Note, the Village Gate, the Village Vanguard. And fortunately, I had an opportunity to work in all of those places.
Wow.
And a number of others.
You both must be mentors, though, for the younger students, because sometimes the schools will have a job shadowing type of activity. Would you welcome them to come to see exactly what it takes to be
Always.
a musician?
Sure. Mike is more of a proponent of that. He has more opportunity because of his exposure, with the Kingdom of the Sun Band. There are a lot of young musicians. So occasionally Mike will give me a call and say, do you mind if I bring so-and-so to the job on Saturday night?
Oh, nice.
I said, by all means, bring him.
So we want to come and see you at the show on Saturday, right? At the Hilton?
6:30 at the Hilton.
6:30
Yes, sir.
at the Hilton.
6:30 to 9:30.
Go see The Usual Suspects. We were trying, Dan's trying in there to get the song on here, but I don't think we're going to have time. Do we have time, Dan? We'll squeeze it in real quickly.
Make a reservation.
Yes.
Oh, we won't have time. I don't think we'll have time to put it in.
Okay.
You make a reservation. Thank you guys for coming. We'll continue to promote your event on Saturday. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. We
That was
appreciate
fun. All right, we'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. ISIS could be getting what it wants in exchange for a hostage. Amman saying it's